we can go into our trailer that we want to talk about. Surprising one that I didn't hear about until a day ago, probably. But it's called The Wild Robot. You're saying it's made by Dreamwork, so I'll believe
by DreamWorks, yeah.
And yeah, this to me it looks like an alien, possibly alien robot crashes on Earth, and it seems to be a primitive Earth. I'm assuming with I don't know because there's like normal animals, but there's no people. So,
until like there's like either meteorites or somebody shooting like fire at one point in the movie. Like there's all these 3 fireballs coming towards the forest.
Maybe those are, I don't know, who knows. But yeah, I think this has got a very like, it's an interesting art style. Like it almost feels a little like painterly in a sense where like, yeah. Like, I don't know if you've seen, like games made in the Dreams, like the Dreams game on PlayStation.
I don't think so.
Yeah, basically that's like Dreams is a game where like people can create games inside of it, and so a lot of the textures are like very painterly in that as well. So it's I was like, wow, this feels like a Dreams movie.
The art style is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll say yeah.
But yeah, and then I feel like the story from what I can gather is that it's just like figuring out who you are, it's just like I think one of the lines in the movie was like, you have to become more than what you were made for to survive or something, and
like more than what you were programmed for.
Yeah. And I don't know, it seems like a beautiful like Iron Giant tale without the kid in a sense, where he just gets to like figure out who he wants to be, and that seems pretty beautiful. So it's a very cool trailer.
Yeah, it definitely has that Iron Giant with woodland creatures, and like, to be honest, it felt like one of those I don't know what games you call it, where you just like you're just scrolling, like your character keeps running and like you like keep going in one direction, sort of games.
Side scroller.
Yeah, it felt like a side scroller game where like your character would like interact with different parts of the woods and run into these different creatures, which like it is interesting. I've not seen something like this. It seems like there might not be a whole lot of talking, but on the other hand, there might, because you have Lupita Nyong'o, who is the top bill, who I'm assuming is the voice that we hear at the end.
Okay.
Which maybe she's the robot, but you also have Pedro Pascal, Bill Nye, and Mark Hamill, which freaking love Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill's the best.
And then Catherine O'Hara, which
she's great too. Yeah.
So cool voice cast, I
don't know. I think that would have been really interesting to see this movie with no dialogue. I think that would have been like, I don't know. That would have been really interesting. Like a kid's animated movie that takes a very artistic approach would be very awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, but regardless, those voice actors are very cool. Like that's a good voice cast, and I hope that they're.
I'm just glad
Chris
Pratt is not in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Chris Pratt, but like, I don't know.
Let's just take a break from Chris Pratt.
He just voices almost everything, I feel like. So
yeah. I mean, 2 major characters in the past 2 years is insane. So,
and he's Emmett in the Lego Movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's how it all started. His voice acting journey. So
yes,
yeah. But yeah, that's coming out this year, right? Wild Robot.
Yeah, and I also I love this new freedom that animators have been taking with. I feel like we're in like a renaissance of animated movie like art styles, because we get stuff like Spider-Verse, we get stuff like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We get like the Puss in Boots movie, like that.
Yeah,
was like,
I mean, those are all like pretty much the same style. But yeah, no, I feel you. I think it's
no, I don't think they're all the
I mean,
same style.
they're not
very
they're not. I mean, they're similar. They're not
no,
the same,
well,
but they are similar, Zach.
what no.
They're all pretty inspired by each other.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
Okay.
that. Like
I
the
would.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one is very drastically different than how Spider-Verse looks, and I would say Spider-Verse looks very different than how Puss in Boots looks. But it does have this like. There are times where they have a painted kind of quality.
I would say it's more of the animation style than art style. But sure, yes, I think they all have a similar animation style.
Regardless, we don't typically like over the past like ever since Illumination kind of started coming out with Despicable Me, and we're still seeing it with like Migration and with the Mario movie,
Right, where they all kind of
they all kind of have like this smooth and trying
polished.
like it's like cutesy, but it's still like realistic sort of. But it's this weird thing that like it doesn't look bad, but everything felt like it wanted to look like that. I mean, like you look at like Paw Patrol, I feel like I get the same sort of like animation where like in like the same thing happened with like Adventure Time and like Cartoon Network. All I'm saying is I feel like this is cool that a lot of different studios are starting to like do new art styles that we haven't seen before, or we haven't seen in a long time. So
for sure. Yeah, I think DreamWorks for sure got into a rut at one point, where I don't think like Pixar really ever did, because like their stuff like looked like actually like realistic to a certain level, whereas I don't think DreamWorks ever got to that sense. But yeah, that is cool. Like I think DreamWorks also did that Puss in Boots movie.
Yeah.
Right. So they are stepping in the right direction for sure. I hope they. I mean, and you know what? And DreamWorks movies like in the past year or two have been outperforming Pixar movies. So
which
maybe
is
they'll
not
start becoming the more dominant studio.
I will say the Pixar movie problem is not necessarily Pixar's fault, because
No, it's not.
Disney just doesn't put them out in theaters, or just doesn't give them the backing that they deserve.
To me, that's what destroyed like people's like desire to like, oh, the new Pixar movie's out this year, let's go to the movies. Like they put out like 3, I think, or 4 Pixar movies in a row straight to Disney Plus. And yeah, I mean, at that point, people just got used to it.
Yeah.
And they didn't feel like they needed to see it. But I don't know. But they also like have missed a couple of times. Like Lightyear, I thought was a pretty big miss. So
I mean, I understand why they put Lightyear out, because it was fucking Buzz Lightyear.
Right.
But the fact that Turning Red, and I know, sorry, we're talking about a whole other thing now. But Turning Red, if that was put out in a movie theater, that would be a new classic. Like that.
I haven't seen it, but
well, you should. Like that movie. That movie would be up there with Toy Story, with The Incredibles. Like that is a great movie. Like,
well, I definitely will check it out then.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's probably all our thoughts on Wild Robot, since we went on a DreamWorks Pixar tangent.